Hey there! Welcome back to Okarga Farms and welcome to a brand new project that I'm ready to unveil. One that we've been working on, well, off and on anyway, for the last year and a year and a half. And this is our screen veranda, which is right here on the east side of our attached garage. And it's kind of our new outdoor entertaining space. It's a project that we have been thinking about for a long time, but as you all know, it takes money and time. You have to have a lot of both of it to start a brand new project, but there was absolutely nothing on this side of the garage. And when we were trying to think of a new space where we could have a great large outdoor space, that really seemed like this would be the perfect place. It's actually situated just to the west of the chicken house and the barn. So while you're up here, you can actually look down and see the barn and the animals when they're out. You're actually going to see a little bit more in the future of what this connects to, but this is going to look out onto the new potting shed, which we've been working on and actually unveiling to you as well. And then in between, over the next year, we're going to build a new garden. So it's a great new space. Again, a space that took quite a bit of time. So we had a lot of time to come up with different ideas on what we wanted to do. So before we start bringing in everything, we finally got our rug in this week. We got our sectional in just a couple weeks ago. We've been throwing the stuff in here, but we're ready to finally put it all together. It's October. We want to get outside as the weather is beginning to change and actually begin to enjoy it. But I kind of want to walk you through today, just telling you about some of the choices that we made and let you see some of the details, because once we get all of those other pieces in, a lot of times you just don't see that fine detail. So I'm actually going to start over at the fireplace. Again, this is the east end, so this is where the sun rises when it comes up over the farm each day. I wanted a pretty grand fireplace because it is quite a large space. The actual footprint is 24 by 30 feet, so it's quite a bit of square footage. And then the ceiling actually goes up to about 18 to 20 feet at the peak. So we have a nice tall fireplace, and probably the first real item that I wanted out here and I had seen previously was this great mirror. It's actually a new piece, but it looks like an antique piece. And we built the mantel and the details to the fireplace to actually fit this mirror. So we had this mirror before this wall was actually being built so that we could fit it just right. As far as the materials that we use, this is a Hackett stone that comes from the western side of Arkansas and the eastern side of Oklahoma. We actually went to the quarry and actually looked and picked out just the stone that we wanted. This is actually the same stone that we used on the barn, which you'll be seeing in some videos coming up. One of the kind of custom details that we did is we had a custom mortar made that actually mimics the color of the paint. This is Sherwin Williams Black Fox, and I wanted to bring a little bit more of that dark color over, and I think we did a really good job matching that up. We have a board and batten siding. We also have that on the opposing wall, which you will see. And then our neat mantelpiece was actually a much larger beam. We went to Reclaim Lumber Yard here in the Tulsa area. This actually was something that actually had a steel beam here at some point underneath, but we had it cut down to the size we wanted. I wanted some mild chinking going on. I loved this detail in here. So there's some wooden dowels. And one of the neat things about this that we haven't worked it out just yet, but there is wiring behind this fireplace, that we found a piece that has actually a hole right here. And we had it wired, and you can see the wire right there, where we can put an outlet. So if we wanted to plug things in, there's no other outlets on this side of the screen porch because it's so open to the elements. So we had that pre-wired, and that was one thing that we actually, because we had so much time, we thought that one through. So if we ever want to put garland or something up there, we'll now have an outlet and won't have to run any extension cords over. But just thinking about the scale, a lot of times when you have a ceiling height quite this large, you've actually got to make everything else just a little bit larger to make it fit. You know, I've had a couple of questions in a couple of previous videos about my style and the way I do things. My background is actually interior design. That's what my degree is in. I worked in the design field for over 10 years, but I've also worked in garden design and did some interesting other things in gardening. So I've always kind of gone back and forth between gardening and interiors. I've kind of learned a few tricks along the way. So that's a little bit about my background and why I feel like a pretty good eye for details and knowing how to make things kind of come together. But another thing that was kind of a unique thought that some of you might say, well, you have this screen porch. Why do you have this wall right in the middle? Well, this is the south side of our house. Here in Oklahoma, our strongest winds come out of the south. We can have days with 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts, and you can't really sit and enjoy a screen porch when you have 70 mile an hour winds going on. Plus, if you have furniture out here and you have pillows and accessories around, strong winds will just blow that all over the place. So in order to be able to enjoy the space just a little bit more, we actually put this wall in. It's actually kind of a windbreak. We still get the breezes and the feel of a screen porch, but not just having this totally open space. Before we got it all finished in, they were actually putting in the lanterns while we had the cherry picker on site. And the winds were so strong one day that it was actually blowing these lanterns and they were hitting the ceiling. So it can get really, really windy in here. And just by putting this wall in, and then of course, once we added the screens, I was surprised at just how much it took that wind force down. Again, thinking through the weather elements really makes a big difference. So as you start a project like that, especially on a site where there was actually nothing located, stop and think about how it's going to be affected by storms, hot weather, cold weather, and that will maybe help you make some critical decisions during the construction phase. And then of course, the ceiling is just a great design detail. I actually got this idea off of Pinterest. Our beams and all of our wall supports are actually Douglas fir. We were going to do cedar. And when we were actually starting this during the COVID years, the price of lumber, as everyone knows, was so expensive, but we got a pretty good deal on some Douglas fir. We drew up these plans and I really liked the way it turned out, but I want you to notice one thing. I want you to look at the decorative detail right there on the end of the truss. That design detail is actually used from this item right here. This is a finial that I've had for several years. I actually got it out of the Wisteria catalog. So if you notice that design detail, you'll also see it somewhere else here on the farm. It's actually used on our arbors that are out in the garden. We're going to pop up a picture there so you can see that detail. Those actually out on the arbor, we had those constructed out of cedar. We had those custom made, and we have those on the arbor at the front and at the back of the house. And then for the finial in here, we actually just took the finial off. We filled in the hole. We flipped it over, and then we took a lot of this weight off of the bottom because we really didn't need that. But I needed some way to kind of finish that. I thought that was such a neat way to carry a motif that we have somewhere else on the property to actually use here on the screen porch. And I think it turned out quite successfully. I think we used just enough of this element to really make a statement. But again, I just wanted to show you the beginning of what this porch is like before we get all the other stuff in there. Once we get all the other furniture, and you just don't notice, I don't think, some of these details to tell you about why we did some of the things that we did. So now it's time to actually start bringing in the design details. And as I've been giving you this little mini tour, you've of course seen the mirror, and then just a couple of things over here. I actually had some extra hands to help me a few days ago. So we started getting some of these elements in, the sconces and the clock, and we've still got to get all of these things leveled out. But now it's time to really start bringing in a lot of the fun products to really bring it all to life. And I think once we get all of those elements in, we're really going to start using this porch even more as the temperature goes down. And it's going to be such a great gathering place to spend some time outside with friends and just enjoy. Hopefully before long, we'll get the fireplace lit and really sit down, have some cocktails, and really just enjoy being together, being outside, and enjoying this weather. So now we're actually going to go out. We're going to bring the rug in, get the sectional started, and get a little bit of the furnishings going in today. And then over the next few weeks, we'll be coming in with some more videos and showing you some neat additions. And finally, we'll start bringing in those great garden plants to really make it cozy up. So putting this porch together was really a long process, and we are certainly ready to start living out here. As you can tell, we've got some of the bare basic essentials, but we're going to be dressing them up over the weeks to come and sharing that process with you. As you can tell, I'm probably going to be adding a few pumpkins as it's fall time in the scheme to certainly turn this into a little bit of a fall, cool weather wonderland. So I hope you'll come back and be sure to look for these upcoming videos mixed in with all the fun gardening videos that I'll be doing throughout the fall as well. And remember, if you liked this video, be sure to subscribe, like, and follow me, the Preppy Gardener, and I'll see you in the next video.